Item 1. On the shortness of life. Source: ChatGPT. Seneca was one of the ancient Roman philosophers, and his works included many essays exploring the philosophy of life, including discussions on the shortness of life. Some of his famous works include On Happiness and On the Happy Life. In these works, Seneca emphasized the brevity of life and offered recommendations on how to achieve happiness and abundance within the constraints of limited time. Here are some of his views. Time well spent. Seneca stressed the preciousness of time and encouraged people not to waste it on meaningless activities. He believed that effective time management and the pursuit of wisdom and morality were crucial for attaining happiness. Inner tranquility. He introduced the concept of inner tranquility, ataraxia, suggesting that we can cope with life's challenges by controlling our emotions and attitudes. Not allowing external factors to disrupt inner peace is essential for a happy life. Confronting death at all times. Seneca also urged us to be constantly aware of the shortness and uncertainty of life, even preparing to face death at any moment. This awareness can help us cherish the present and use our lives for valuable purposes. Transcending materialism. He emphasized that the pursuit of inner wisdom and moral values was far more important than material wealth. He believed that true happiness came from inner virtues and spiritual growth. Seneca's works contain profound reflections on the shortness of life and happiness, and his views are regarded as significant references in the philosophy of life by many. If you're interested in these topics, you can read his works to delve deeper into his perspectives and recommendations. Item 2. Moral Letters to Lucilius. Source: ChatGPT. Moral Letters to Lucilius is a series of letters written by the ancient Roman philosopher Seneca to his friend Lucilius. These letters cover various philosophical and moral topics and contain a wealth of wisdom on subjects such as life, happiness, and virtue. Here are some themes that may be addressed in these letters. Happiness. Seneca may emphasize the importance of happiness and discuss how true happiness can be achieved through inner and spiritual growth. Self-discipline. He may underscore the value of self-discipline and provide advice on how to control desires, emotions, and behavior. Transience of life. Seneca often reminds people of the brevity of life and encourages them to make the most of their time, pursuing a meaningful and valuable life. Moral values. He may discuss the significance of character and moral conduct and how to practice these values in everyday life. Death. Seneca frequently contemplates death and explores how to face it with dignity and how awareness of mortality affects our lives. These themes are common in Seneca's letters, which are typically filled with wisdom and profound philosophical reflections. If you want to delve deeper into his views and recommendations, you can read the original texts of these letters or seek interpretations and commentaries on these topics. Source: Wikipedia. Lucilius Jr., Latin, Lucilius I Jr., lived in the 1st century during Nero's reign and served as a local financial official in Sicily, as well as a friend and correspondent of Seneca. He is possibly the author of the poem Etna. Information about Lucilius is derived from Seneca's works, especially Seneca's moral letters written to him. Seneca also dedicated his Natural Questions and the essay De Providentia to Lucilius. Lucilius appears to have been from Campania, as Seneca repeatedly mentions your beloved Pompeii in his writings. At the time Seneca wrote his letters, around 65 AD, Lucilius was a local financial official, possibly a governor, in Sicily. He was a Roman knight, a status he achieved through unremitting effort, and he owned a country villa in the southern part of Rome, in the area of Elateia. In one of his shorter letters, Seneca specifically praised a book written by Lucilius and quoted several lines of Lucilius's poetry. Etna is a 644-line poem about the origins of volcanic activity, which is believed to have been possibly authored by Virgil, Cornelius Severus, or Manilius. Its composition can be traced back to as early as 44 BC, as certain artworks known to have been moved to Rome at that date are called apart from the city. However, the author seems to be aware of and uses Seneca's Natural Questions, written around 65 AD, and does not mention the major eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD, so its composition likely falls between these two dates. The fact that supports Lucilius as the author is that he was a friend of Seneca and familiar with his works. He served as a royal prosecutor in Sicily for a time, and he wrote a poem about Sicilian themes. On the other hand, in Seneca's 79th letter, which is a primary authority on this matter, he evidently asks Lucilius to treat the trite theme of Aetna as merely an episode in his contemplated poem, rather than treating it as a separate subject. The sources of Aetna include Posidonius of Apamea and perhaps Pseudo-Aristotle's De Mundo, as well as many reminiscences of Lucretius. It has degenerated into a very corrupt state, and its difficulty is increased by the non-poetic nature of the theme, a lack of conciseness, and the abrupt use of metaphors. Item 3. On a Happy Life. Source: ChatGPT. Seneca, one of the ancient Roman philosophers, offered profound insights on the concept of a happy life. Here are some of Seneca's views on happiness. Inner abundance. Seneca believed that true happiness lies in inner richness and peace of mind, rather than the accumulation of external material possessions. He emphasized the value of inner virtues and wisdom as the keys to achieving happiness. Self-control. Seneca advocated self-control and moderation as essential elements for happiness. He argued that we should learn to control our desires and emotions, not letting external events and material possessions disrupt our inner serenity. Meaningful relationships. Seneca emphasized the importance of healthy interpersonal relationships and friendships in a happy life. He believed that genuine friendships are built on virtue and mutual respect, providing emotional support and resonance. Acceptance of death. Seneca argued that a proper understanding and acceptance of death can help us better cherish life. He advised us to constantly be aware of the brevity of life, which would motivate us to pursue a meaningful life. Embrace the present. Seneca stressed the significance of living in the moment and condemned the futility of worrying about the past or the future. He recommended focusing on present experiences and fully enjoying the joys and beauty of the moment. Practical philosophy. Seneca believed that philosophy should be practical and guide our lives. He advocated the application of philosophical principles in our daily lives to achieve happiness and moral living. In summary, Seneca's discourse emphasizes inner peace, virtue, wisdom, proper values, and attitudes as the keys to achieving happiness. His philosophical perspectives continue to inspire and hold relevance in the modern exploration and pursuit of a happy life. Item 4. On anger. Source: ChatGPT. Seneca's work on anger is an important philosophical treatise in which he explores anger and its effects. This book contains profound analysis and recommendations on how to understand and deal with the emotion of anger. Here are some of Seneca's viewpoints from this book. The nature of anger. Seneca believes that anger is a destructive emotion that harms a person's inner peace and leads to constant conflict and destruction. He describes anger as a brief madness and emphasizes its futility. Controlling anger. Seneca advocates that we should learn to control anger rather than letting it control us. He contends that anger is an emotion that can be managed through self-control and rational thinking. The harm of anger. He lists the potential harms that anger can bring, including damage to physical health, destruction of interpersonal relationships, and threats to one's inner peace. He stresses that the consequences of anger are often not worth it. Using wisdom. Seneca suggests that when faced with provoking situations, we should remain calm, use rational thinking, and seek solutions rather than venting our anger. Self-reflection. He believes that self-reflection and self-awareness are essential tools for managing anger. Understanding one's emotions and triggers can help us better cope with anger. Practicing patience. Seneca advocates the practice of patience, even when faced with injustice or provocation. He suggests maintaining composure and patience. In summary, Seneca provides profound philosophical insights on anger, emphasizing the harmful and futile nature of anger and how to deal with this emotion through self-control and rational thinking. His viewpoints remain valuable for discussions on emotional management and maintaining composure in various situations. Item 5. On benefits. Source: ChatGPT. Seneca's philosophical works include numerous discussions on benefits and virtue. His views emphasize the importance of individual and societal benefits and the pursuit of virtue. Here are some of his viewpoints in this regard. Purpose of virtue. Seneca believes that the highest goal of humanity should be the attainment of virtue and morality, rather than the pursuit of material wealth or fleeting pleasures. He argues that true benefits stem from the cultivation of virtue and contributions to society. Societal benefits. Seneca advocates the interconnectedness of individual and societal benefits. He posits that individuals should pursue behaviors that are not only beneficial to themselves but also beneficial to society in order to achieve genuine benefits. Selfless contribution. He emphasizes selfless contribution in aiding others, asserting that this benefits not only the recipients but also the doer of the deed. He believes that such behavior can bring inner contentment and tranquility. Self-control. Seneca deems self-control and moderation as crucial for achieving benefits and pursuing virtue. By managing desires and emotions, people can rationally pursue benefits and virtuous actions. Endurance of adversity. He contends that enduring adversity and misfortune is also a part of achieving benefits. Adversity can aid individuals in personal growth, learning, and becoming stronger. Wealth of morality. Seneca asserts that true wealth comes from the richness of morality, not material wealth. He encourages people to pursue virtue, as it leads to inner peace and contentment. In conclusion, Seneca's views emphasize the importance of individual and societal benefits and the significance of selfless contribution, the pursuit of virtue, self-control, and endurance of adversity in achieving these benefits. His philosophical perspective remains influential in the exploration of the relationship between individuals and society, as well as in leading a moral life. Item 6. Condolences to Mother Helvia. Source: ChatGPT. A letter of condolences to his mother Helvia is included in Seneca's Epistulae Moralis ad Lucilium, Moral Letters to Lucilius. This letter expresses Seneca's grief at the loss of loved ones by his mother and how to cope with such sorrow. Seneca, in a warm and caring tone, attempts to console and support her. Here are some possible themes and content that may be included in this letter. Mourning the loss of loved ones. Seneca may express his condolences for his mother's loss of loved ones and acknowledge the depth of this grief and its difficulty to bear. Comfort and support. He may offer condolences and support to his mother, encouraging her to process this pain and providing some advice to help her through this difficult time. The brevity of life. Seneca may remind his mother of the brevity of life, an awareness that can help people better cherish the present and contemplate the important values and meanings in life. Ways to cope with sorrow. He may share some methods for dealing with grief, such as adopting a calm attitude, cultivating inner peace, or seeking support and companionship. The importance of family. Seneca may emphasize the importance of family relationships and express his love and respect for his mother. This letter likely contains Seneca's heartfelt condolences and encouragement for his mother to face her grief while also incorporating some philosophical perspectives to help her navigate this challenge. However, the specific content and expression may vary slightly in different versions of the text. Item 7. Seneca. Source: ChatGPT. Seneca the Younger, or Seneca, was an ancient Roman philosopher, politician, and writer who lived between 4 BC and 65 AD. He is one of the prominent representatives of Stoicism in ancient Roman philosophy, and his works extensively explore topics related to individual virtues, moral conduct, happiness, and life philosophy. Here are some key features and thoughts associated with Seneca. Stoicism. Seneca was a staunch adherent of Stoicism, a philosophical school of thought that emphasizes rational thinking, emotional restraint, inner tranquility, and the pursuit of virtue. Many of his works contain elements of Stoic philosophy. Philosophical works. Seneca's philosophical works primarily consist of discussions on life philosophy, such as on happiness, on the shortness of life, on anger, and his collection of letters known as Epistulae Moralis ad Lucilium. These works delve into the meaning of human life, the pursuit of happiness, and the importance of virtue. Political career. Seneca held various significant positions in the political sphere of ancient Rome, including serving as an advisor to Emperor Augustus. However, he was later exiled for political reasons. His political career and experiences in exile are also reflected in his writings. Letters, his collection of letters, Epistulae Moralis ad Lucilium, is one of his most famous works, containing letters written to friends and students, covering topics related to philosophy, morality, and wisdom for living. Transience of life. Seneca often emphasized the transience of life and encouraged people to make the most of their limited time, pursue a meaningful life, and attain inner peace. Seneca's philosophical ideas and writings have had a profound influence on ancient Rome and subsequent philosophical thought. His Stoic perspective on individual morality and emotional management remains relevant and inspiring in the modern era. Information source: Wikipedia. Lucius Annius Seneca Minor, Latin, Lucius Annius Seneca Minor, before 4 AD 65 AD, commonly known as Seneca or Seneca the Younger, was a Roman Stoic philosopher, playwright, and statesman. He was born in Córdoba, a Roman province in Spain, and grew up in Rome. He was the son of Seneca the Elder, a renowned Roman writer and rhetorician, who belonged to the equestrian order, and his mother Helvia came from a prominent Baetica family. His elder brother, Lucius Junius Gallio, served as the Roman provincial governor and was involved in the case of the Apostle Paul. His nephew, Lucan, was a Roman poet. The Anninus clan to which Seneca belonged was composed of Italian colonists and had Umbrian or Paulinian ancestry. In 41 AD, Seneca was exiled to Corsica by the Emperor Claudius but was allowed to return in 49 AD, serving as Nero's tutor. It is suggested that he prepared Nero for his future role as emperor and wrote a memorandum titled On Clemency, which advocated that rulers should govern with compassion. In 55 AD, Nero ascended to the throne, and Seneca became his advisor, assisting Nero alongside the prefect of the Praetorian Guard, Burrus. During this time, Seneca attempted to influence Nero, but with limited success. In 62 AD, Seneca retired to avoid political conflicts and focused on writing for leisure. In 65 AD, Nero accused him of involvement in the Gaius Calpurnius Piso's conspiracy and ordered him to commit suicide. Seneca was born in the Roman province of Baetica, present-day Andalusia, Spain, to a wealthy family. He was known for his philosophical writings and tragedies. His prose works include 12 essays and 124 letters on moral issues, which constitute some of the most important source material for the ancient Stoic philosophy. As a tragedian, his most famous works include Phaedra, Thyestes, and Medea. Seneca had a significant influence on subsequent generations and was regarded as a revered and respected figure, a moral oracle, and an inspiration to Christianity, as well as a master of literary style and a model of dramatic art during the Renaissance. Seneca advocated for the improvement of morality and wisdom, emphasizing that maintaining spiritual tranquility was the sole task of human life. He promoted asceticism, encouraging people to renounce worldly life and desires while waiting for divine revelation and spiritual salvation. His ideas had. Item 8. The influences of Seneca on Christianity. Source: ChatGPT. Seneca was an ancient Roman philosopher, and while his philosophical perspectives and works may have had some influence on the development of Christianity, he is not considered a direct inspiration for Christianity. Christianity is a religion with its origins dating back to the 1st century AD, whereas Seneca lived between 4 BC and 65 AD, which is before the birth of Christianity. Seneca's Stoic philosophy emphasized the value of morality and virtue, which may have some similarities with the values of Christianity. For instance, Stoicism emphasized self-control, compassion, and care for others, values that also find expression in Christianity. However, Christianity is a distinct religious system with its fundamental beliefs centered around the teachings and redemptive message of Jesus Christ, elements that are absent in Seneca's Stoic philosophy. Seneca's works may have influenced some Christian thinkers, but he, himself, is not regarded as a direct influencer of Christianity. The origins and development of Christianity are linked to influences from ancient Greek and Roman philosophy, but it has its own faith system and doctrines that evolved and grew in various cultural and religious contexts. Seneca is not recognized as a Christian saint because he lived before the emergence of Christianity and was a Roman philosopher, not a Christian. Christian saints are typically individuals who have made significant contributions to the Christian faith and have been recognized for their outstanding performance in matters of faith and morality. These saints hold a special place in Christian doctrine and tradition. The life and teachings of Seneca spanned from 4 BC to 65 AD, while Christianity originated in the 1st century, encompassing the early history of Jesus Christ, the teachings of the apostles, and the formation of Christian communities. While Seneca's philosophical works and Stoic thoughts may have influenced some early Christian fathers and theologians, he is not considered a Christian saint. Christian saints are typically canonized by the Church and are commemorated and revered. Each saint has a unique history and legends associated with them, and they play special roles in the history and tradition of Christianity. Some well-known Christian saints include Saint Augustine, Saint Francis of Assisi, Saint Joan of Arc, and more. These saints are often recognized for their exceptional contributions to matters of faith, morality, and religious affairs, and their lives and teachings have had a significant impact on the Christian community. Source: Wikiwand. Lucius Annius Seneca Minor, Latin, Lucius Annius Seneca Minor, 4 BC 65 AD, commonly known as Seneca or Seneca the Younger, was the son of Seneca the Elder. He was born in Corduba, a province of the Roman Empire, and was a Stoic philosopher, playwright, and politician. He grew up in Rome and served as the tutor and advisor to Emperor Nero, but he was accused of involvement in the Pisonian conspiracy and was sentenced to death in 65 AD. Seneca was born in the province of Corduba in the Roman Empire's Spain, as the second son of his family. He received training in rhetoric and philosophy. His father, Seneca the Elder, was also a well-known Roman writer and rhetorician, originally from Spain and part of the Roman equestrian order. His mother, Helvia, came from a prominent Baetica family. His brother, Lucius Junius Gallio, who was adopted into the Junii, served as a provincial governor and handled the case of the Apostle Paul. His nephew, Lucan, was a Roman poet. The Annian gens, to which Seneca belonged, was composed of Italian colonists and had Umbrian or Paeolinian ancestry. In 41 AD, Seneca was exiled to Corsica by Emperor Claudius I, but was allowed to return in 49 AD and served as Nero's tutor. Perhaps in preparation for Nero's future as emperor, he completed the Memorandum de Clementia, pointing out that it is wise for rulers to be lenient in their politics. When Nero ascended the throne in 55 years, Seneca became his advisor, and Bruce, the commander of the guards, assisted Nero competently. During this time Seneca tried to influence Nero, but failed. In 1962, Seneca retired to avoid political struggle and wrote books for fun. In 65 years, Nero accused him of participating in Gnaeus Calpurnius Piso's conspiracy to launch a mutiny, English, Pisonian conspiracy, and ordered him to commit suicide. Seneca slit his wrists and opened the arteries of his hands and feet. His wife Pompeia Paulina also committed suicide by slitting her wrists for fear of being implicated, but Nero, fearing unfavorable public opinion, ordered his soldiers to rescue her. His stoically calm suicide scene became the subject of many paintings. Seneca is renowned for his philosophical writings and tragedies. His prose works include 12 essays and 124 letters on moral issues, which constitute some of the most important source material for the ancient Stoic school. As a tragedian, his most famous works are Medea, Thyestes, and Phaedra. Seneca had a significant influence on later generations, especially during the Renaissance, where he was considered an admired and revered sage, a moral oracle, and even an enlightener of Christianity, a master of literary style and a paradigm of dramatic art. Seneca advocated the elevation of morality and wisdom and maintaining spiritual tranquility as the sole mission of human beings. He promoted asceticism, urging people to renounce worldly life and desires, awaiting divine revelation and spiritual liberation. Due to the profound impact of Seneca's ideas on future Christianity, he was referred to as the uncle of Christianity by the German philosopher Engels in his work Bruno Bauer and Early Christianity. Despite Seneca's philosophical recommendations to forsake desire and restrain the mind, he was one of the wealthiest and most powerful individuals of his time. His practice of usury in England for substantial profits was seen as contradictory to the ethical principles he wrote about in his philosophical works, leading to criticisms of his inconsistency. Item 9. Seneca the Elder. Source: ChatGPT. Seneca the Elder, also known as Seneca the Elder or simply Seneca, was the father of Seneca the Younger. He was a renowned Roman rhetorician, orator, and philosopher who lived between approximately 54 BC and 39 AD. He was the father of Seneca the Younger and played a significant role in the Seneca family. Seneca the Elder was famous for his talents in rhetoric and oratory, and he made significant contributions to the development of Roman literature and rhetoric. His works include writings on oratory and rhetoric, such as Controversia and Ludista Oratoribus, which discussed the art of humor. His work had a profound influence on the development of ancient Roman rhetoric and later literary figures. His son, Seneca, also known as Seneca the Younger, later became a prominent Roman philosopher. His philosophical works and letters are of great importance in Stoic philosophy and had a wide-ranging impact on later philosophical thought. The Seneca family played a significant role in ancient Roman society and had a profound influence in the fields of literature and philosophy. Source: Wikipedia. Seneca the Elder, Latin, Lucius Annius Seneca, was born around 54 BC and passed away around 39 AD. He was a Roman writer and rhetorician, born into a Roman equestrian family in Córdoba, Roman Spain. His sons included Lucius Junius Gallio Anninus, who served as a provincial governor in the Roman Empire, and the renowned philosopher Seneca. Item 10. Caligula. Source: ChatGPT. Caligula was a Roman emperor in ancient Rome. His full name was Gaius Caesar Augustus Germanicus. Born in 12 AD, he became the third emperor of the Roman Empire and ruled from 37 to 41 AD. Caligula was known for his extreme behavior and tyrannical rule. Source: Wikipedia. Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, Latin, Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, August 31, 12 AD, January 24, 41 AD, the third emperor of the Roman Empire. Emperor, later historians often call him Caligula, Latin, Caligula. Caligula was his nickname since childhood, which means little military boots. It originated from the children's military boots that soldiers put on for him when he was stationed on the German front with his father Germanicus when he was a baby. Caligula is considered a typical tyrant in the early Roman Empire. He established a reign of terror, deified imperial power, and acted absurdly. Because he was so happy about his success, he built public buildings and held various large-scale banquets, and the empire's finances deteriorated sharply. Later, he tried to alleviate the financial crisis by increasing various exorbitant taxes, which aroused resentment among all classes. In 41 AD, Caligula was assassinated by Cassius Caria, captain of the guards. Caligula inherited the Julius Claudius dynasty to which Octavian belonged. His father was Germanicus Caesar, who was quite popular among the military and civilians at that time, and his mother was Agrippina the Great, the granddaughter of Octavian. Germanicus and Agrippina the Great had 9 children, 6 of whom were raised to adulthood, 3 sons, Nero, Drusus, and Caligula, and 3 daughters, Livia and Drusilla, Agrippina the Younger. Octavian died in 14 AD, and his stepson Tiberius succeeded him as emperor. Tiberius adopted his nephew Germanicus as his son, which represented the announcement of the heir to the throne. Tiberius's reign was unpopular with the people, so people generally hoped that Germanicus would be successfully installed as emperor. But Germanicus died of illness in 19 AD, and the people projected their emotions onto Germanicus' 3 sons. In the later period of Tiberius's reign, palace struggles arose repeatedly. Agrippina the Great was exiled, and her sons Nero and Drusus were also exiled and imprisoned respectively. Caligula died when he was 19 years old. In 2001, he was summoned to the island of Capri to accompany Tiberius and monitor him nearby. When Caligula was with Tiberius, he was obedient to his nominal grandfather Tiberius and never mentioned the misfortunes suffered by his relatives. He used amazing disguises to cope with himself. The abuse suffered. The ancient Roman writer Suetonius once said sarcastically, "I never saw a better slave or a worse master." In 37 AD, Tiberius died at the age of 79. Among the close male members of the royal family at this time, only Caligula and Tiberius's underage grandson little Tiberius remained. Therefore, he ascended the throne with the expectation of most of the provincial residents and soldiers, and the Roman citizens also missed his father and sympathized with his almost extinct family. When he set out from Misenum to Rome, people along the way set up altars to welcome him. But Caligula's own emotional history was complex and rich. Legend has it that he had an incestuous relationship with his sister Drusilla. Caligula's madness and plunder inspired many assassination attempts. Cassius Chaerea, captain of the emperor's guards, had been verbally insulted by Caligula on a previous occasion. Chaerea had been wounded on the battlefield in his youth, injuring his penis, and Caligula once mocked him as Priapus, the fertility god with a huge penis in Roman mythology, which made him resentful. At noon on January 24, 41, when Caligula was walking in the corridor of the palace as he was about to have lunch, Chaerea and another captain, Cornelius Sabinus, stepped forward and jointly assassinated him. Caligula killed his wife Cassonia and their young daughter Julia Drusilla. After Caligula's death, the military proclaimed his relative Claudius I as emperor. Caligula was only 29 years old and reigned for 3 years, 10 months, and 8 days, making him one of the shortest reigning Roman emperors. His body was quietly removed, half burned on a hastily prepared pyre, and then buried. Later his sisters returned from exile, exhumed him, recremated him and buried him. Item 11. Claudius I. Source: ChatGPT. Claudius I, full name Tiberius Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, was an emperor of the Roman Empire who reigned from AD 41 to 54. He was the fourth emperor of the Roman Empire and was known as Claudius I after ascending to the throne. Claudius I's rule was relatively mild and stable when compared to his predecessor, Caligula, and is considered more reasonable and wise. Here are some key features and events related to Claudius I. Poor health. Claudius I had been in poor health throughout his life, suffering from physical disabilities since birth, which resulted in a speech impediment. This may have led to him being underestimated in palace politics and prevented from being seen as a political threat. Political reforms. Claudius I implemented various political reforms, including improvements to the legal and governmental systems and the promotion of public construction projects. Expansion of the empire. During his reign, the Roman Empire expanded its territory, particularly in Britain, where it successfully conquered new lands. Extension of Roman citizenship. Claudius I passed a reform allowing non-Roman citizens residing in Italy to acquire Roman citizenship. Establishment of historical studies. Claudius I was one of the founding figures in ancient Roman historiography. He was a historian himself, and his work included Claudius' 12 books, although this work is now lost to history. Suspected poisoning. Claudius I died in AD 54, and his cause of death is still a subject of debate. Some believe he was poisoned, while others argue he died of natural causes. Claudius I's rule is considered a relatively peaceful and effective period in the history of the Roman Empire. He made contributions in politics, the military, and culture. Nonetheless, his reign also had its share of political struggles and controversies. Source: Wikipedia. Tiberius Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, Latin, Tiberius Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, commonly known as Claudius, Claudius the Elder, or in the style of later European monarchs, Claudius I, August 1, 10 BC October 13, 54 AD, was the fourth emperor of the Julio-Claudian dynasty of the Roman Empire, reigning from 41 AD to 54 AD. Claudius unexpectedly ascended to the throne. In 41 AD, after the assassination of Emperor Caligula, the Praetorian Guard proclaimed this middle-aged member of the Claudius family as the emperor, and he was recognized by the Senate. His rule aimed to promote harmony among various social classes, adopting a policy of moderation, and repairing the rift between emperors and the Senate that had developed during Caligula's reign. He increased the political power of provincial citizens in Rome and promoted the state's industry. Later historians considered that the centralized form of rule in the early Roman Empire was peacefully transitioned during his reign. During his time as emperor, Claudius faced several upheavals. The conspiracy of the Praetorian prefect Afranius Burrus to assassinate the emperor was exposed and foiled. His wife Messalina took advantage of her position to eliminate political rivals and secure the future of her son Britannicus. A provincial governor in Dalmatia, Gaius Appius Silanus, attempted to instigate a civil war but was swiftly suppressed within 5 days due to the fear of the legions. Claudius had 3 marriages before his reign as emperor. In his youth, he was briefly engaged to Livia Metellina, but she died before their marriage. He later married Aelia Paetina, with whom he had a daughter who died young, and they divorced shortly thereafter due to marital discord. His third marriage was to his niece Agrippina the Younger, the daughter of his brother Germanicus. Agrippina bore him a daughter, Claudia Octavia, and a son, Britannicus. 2 years after his ascension as emperor, Claudius made Agrippina the Empress of Rome. As empress, Agrippina's power and ambition grew, and she sought to secure the throne for her son Britannicus, leading her to eliminate potential heirs from the royal family, including Agrippina's rival Agrippina the Elder. Agrippina also attempted to seize the house of Claudius's secretary palace, which led to a conspiracy against Claudius and the execution of his secretary on charges of high treason. In 48 AD, while Claudius was away from Rome, Agrippina married her lover, Gaius Silius, in a ceremony. When Claudius heard of this, he not only resented his wife's infidelity but also feared it was part of a plot to usurp his throne. He rushed back to Rome, appointed his trusted freedman Narcissus as the new commander of the Praetorian Guard, and ordered the arrest of Agrippina, Silius, and the attendees of the wedding. His secretary Narcissus prevented Agrippina from pleading her case directly to Claudius, leading her to take her own life. Silius and many senators, high-ranking officials, and officers involved were executed. Claudius's daughter from his earlier marriage, Agrippina the Younger, became an influential figure in the court and helped manage the affairs of Claudius. After the death of Messalina, Claudius decided to remarry, and with the help of his secretary Pallas, he married Agrippina in 49 AD, making her his fourth wife. She also adopted and renamed Claudius's son from his previous marriage, Domitius, to Nero. In October 54 AD, Claudius died from poisoning during a family dinner. It was widely suspected that Agrippina was behind the poisoning. Claudius, aged 64, had ruled for 14 years. He received a royal funeral and was deified. Nero later revoked this honor, but it was later reinstated by Vespasian, and he was recognized as Divine Claudius. Item 12. Nero. Source: ChatGPT. Nero, full name, Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, was a famous Roman emperor in ancient Rome. He ruled from AD 54 to 68 and was the fifth emperor of the Roman Empire. His rule is notorious for extreme cruelty, extravagance, and debauchery. Here are some important aspects and events related to Nero. Tyrannical rule. Nero's rule is considered one of the most tyrannical and lawless periods in Roman history. He tortured and killed political enemies, showing no mercy even to family and close associates. Lavish lifestyle. Nero enjoyed a life of luxury, depleting the treasury by building massive palaces and resorts and hosting extravagant banquets and entertainment. Theater and music. He had a strong interest in theater and music, often performing himself and taking part in theatrical productions, though his behavior often earned ridicule from the aristocracy and the public. Empire in crisis. Nero's reign witnessed significant events, including the Great Fire of Rome in AD 64 and the outbreak of the First Jewish-Roman War in AD 66, leading to instability and turmoil within and outside the empire. Suicide. Under political pressure and threats of rebellion, Nero eventually committed suicide in AD 68, marking him as the first Roman emperor to do so. Nero's rule is considered a dark period in Roman history, with his tyranny and corruption significantly affecting the political and social stability of the empire. His reign also symbolizes a time of chaos and crisis in the Roman Empire. Despite this, Nero's image continues to hold strong historical and cultural significance. Source: Wikipedia. Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, born as Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus, reigned from AD 54 to 68 and was the last emperor of the Julio-Claudian dynasty. He held various positions during his rule, including chief senator of the Roman Senate, tribune of the plebs, high priest, Pontifex Maximus from AD 55, and consul, in 55, 57, 58, 60, and 68. He was also bestowed with the title Pater Patriae, which means Father of the Fatherland. During his reign, Nero focused on diplomacy and trade and aimed to enhance Rome's role as the cultural capital of the empire by creating and promoting various theaters and sporting events. His rule is known for diplomatic and military successes against the Parthian Empire, the suppression of the revolt in the province of Britannia, around AD 61, and improved relations with the Greek provinces. Nero's rule is often associated with tyranny and extravagance. He is remembered for a series of systematic assassinations, including his own mother Agrippina, and is widely believed to have played the lyre while Rome burned in the Great Fire. He ruthlessly persecuted Christians within the empire. These notions are primarily based on the works of historians like Tacitus, Suetonius, and Cassius Dio. Surviving ancient texts provide few positive descriptions of him, although some suggest he was highly popular among the Roman people, especially in the eastern part of the empire. Today, the credibility of documents listing Nero's tyrannical acts is controversial. It can be challenging, if not impossible, to separate fact from fiction when dealing with historical sources related to classical works. Item 13. Little Agrippina. Source: ChatGPT. Agrippina the Younger, whose full name is Julia Agrippina, was a Roman emperor, queen, and politician in ancient Rome who lived between 15 and 59 AD. She was the daughter of Claudius the Great and the former Roman emperor Julius Claudius Germanicus. Little Agrippina's life was full of political maneuvering and power struggles. Here are some important characteristics and events about her. Marriage and political marriage. Little Agrippina's marriage was not happy at first. She first married a nobleman, but her mother's interference soon resulted in her divorce. Later, she married her uncle Claudius, the successor to the empire, and became the fourth queen of ancient Rome. Her marriage provided her with political influence but also drew her into palace struggles. Reign with Claudius. Agrippina the Younger's reign with Claudius was fraught with strife, and she took various measures to consolidate her position and power. She assisted her nephew, later Emperor Nero, in his ascension to the throne and played an important role in his rule. Machiavellian plots and poisoning. The younger Agrippina was accused of participating in numerous political intrigues and assassinations, including that of her husband Claudius. She is considered one of the key figures behind these actions. Deposition and exile. Late in Nero's reign, relations with Agrippina the Younger deteriorated. She was eventually exiled to Homen Bay. Death. Julia Agrippina was killed in exile. There is still no conclusive evidence of her death, but it is generally believed to be suicide or assassination. The life of little Agrippina was full of political intrigue and struggle. She was one of the most politically influential women in the history of the ancient Roman Empire. She has various appearances in Roman history and literature, being portrayed as a Machiavellian and statesman by different historians and literary works. Source: Wikipedia. Julia Agrippina, November 6, 15, March 23, 59, also known as Agrippina the Younger, was a Roman empress. One of the most prominent women of the Julius-Claudian dynasty, her father was the Roman general Germanicus, heir apparent to the Roman Empire under Tiberius. Her mother was Agrippina the Great, granddaughter of Augustus, the first Roman emperor. She was the sister of Caligula, niece and fourth wife of Claudius I, and the mother of Nero. Empress Agrippina served as a behind-the-scenes advisor in Roman state affairs through her strong political connections. She manipulated Nero, her son from her first husband, Hannibal, into claiming the inheritance. Claudius I became aware of her plot, but died in 54 AD. Agrippina played a pivotal role in the early years of Emperor Nero's reign, but was killed in 59 AD. Both ancient and modern sources describe Agrippina's personality as cold, ambitious, violent, and domineering. In appearance, she is a beautiful and famous woman. According to Pliny the Elder, she had a bicuspid tooth on her right upper jaw, a symbol of good luck. Many ancient historians accused Agrippina of poisoning her husband Claudius, although the details vary. Item 14. Publius Virgilius Maro. Source: ChatGPT. Publius Virgilius Maro, commonly known as Virgil, was one of the most outstanding classical poets of ancient Rome, living between 70 BC and 19 BC. He is considered one of the most famous poets of the Roman Empire, renowned for his epic work, the Aeneid. Virgil's poetry is regarded as one of the pinnacles of ancient Roman literature and has had a profound influence on later literature and art. Here are some key features and works related to Virgil. The Aeneid. This is Virgil's most famous work and one of his most significant contributions. This epic tells the adventurous journey of Prince Aeneas of Troy, who escapes the destruction of Troy, crosses the Mediterranean, and ultimately establishes Rome. It is considered the national epic of the Roman Empire, emphasizing Rome's origins and mission. Georgics. Another important work by Virgil is the Georgics, a four-book poem that describes agriculture, husbandry, and rural life. Georgics serves as a technical manual on nature and agriculture, but it also contains numerous philosophical and literary elements. Eclogues. Virgil also created the Eclogues, a series of pastoral poems focusing on the lives and love of shepherds. This work had a widespread influence on ancient Roman literature and influenced later literary creations. Influence. Virgil's works had a broad influence on European literature, particularly during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. He was considered a source of inspiration for later literary figures, including Dante, Petrarch, Shakespeare, and more. Virgil's poetry is regarded as one of the peaks of ancient Roman literature. His works hold a significant place in world literary history, not only for their literary style and techniques but also for their reflection of the social, political, and cultural context of the Roman era. Item 15. Rhetoric. Retrieved from ChatGPT. Rhetoric is the art and science of studying discourse and language, with the aim of effectively communicating, persuading, and influencing an audience or listeners. The scope of rhetoric encompasses speaking, writing, oral expression, and communication. It explores how words, sentences, and paragraphs are chosen and arranged to achieve specific purposes such as persuasion, inspiration, entertainment, or education. Here are some key concepts and points in rhetoric. The three basic elements of rhetoric. Logos, logical reasoning, convincing the audience through sound arguments and facts. Pathos, emotional persuasion, influencing the audience by triggering their emotions and empathy. Ethos, speakers' morality and expertise, including their reputation, authority, and credibility. Applications of rhetoric. Rhetoric can be applied in various communication and writing contexts, including political speeches, advertising, news reporting, courtroom debates, literary works, and more. Rhetorical terms. Rhetoric comprises numerous terms and concepts, such as metaphor, analogy, parallelism, irony, rhetorical questions, argumentation, narrative structure, and rhetorical devices. These are used to analyze and understand the structure and purpose of texts. Rhetoricians. many ancient and modern rhetoricians have studied and taught the principles and techniques of rhetoric. Notable rhetorical scholars include Aristotle, Augustine, Aesop, Adam Smith, and Kennedy. Fields of application: the principles and techniques of rhetoric are widely applied in fields such as advertising, political speeches, writing, education, and public relations. Rhetoric helps improve communication effectiveness, persuasive power, and influence. Rhetoric not only helps people better understand and analyze the discourse of others but also provides a means for individuals to express their thoughts and viewpoints more effectively. It is a discipline that has both theoretical foundations and practical applications, making it highly valuable for enhancing communication skills and writing abilities. From Wikipedia. Rhetoric, also known as in Chinese, is the art of enhancing the effectiveness of language and discourse. It is one of the three arts, along with grammar and logic, and falls within the realm of linguistics. Since the emergence of language, humans have had a need for rhetoric. Learning and using rhetoric can enhance the author's writing and language to clearly convey the meaning, attract the reader's attention, deepen their impression, and create a sense of lyricism. Gain a clearer understanding of the author's intent, free from the influence of rhetorical techniques that might cause misunderstandings. Facilitate the analysis and appreciation of literary works, leading to a deeper understanding of their meaning. The study of rhetoric in ancient Greece was developed by Aristotle, a student of Plato. In this context, rhetoric is more accurately described as the art of persuasion or the art of oratory, and it primarily refers to the technique of public speaking. In Aristotle's work Rhetoric, he describes rhetoric as the counterpart to dialectic, meaning that dialectic is the method for discovering the truth, while rhetoric is the method for communicating the truth. Aristotle, a prominent student of Plato, became the master who integrated and expanded upon both schools of thought, creating a comprehensive body of knowledge in rhetoric. Aristotle proposed three main strategies. Ethos appeals to the credibility of the source. Logos appeals to reason and logic. Pathos appeals to emotions for persuasive effect. Item 16. Corsica. Source: ChatGPT. Corsica is an island located in the western Mediterranean Sea, situated between France and Italy. It is a region of France known as the Corsica region, Corse. Here are some key details about Corsica. Geographic location: Corsica is situated in the western Mediterranean Sea, between southern France and western Italy. It is approximately 180 kilometers from the French mainland and about 12 kilometers from the Italian island of Sardinia. Area: Corsica covers a total area of approximately 8,680 square kilometers, making it the fourth largest island in the Mediterranean region. Terrain: Corsica features diverse terrain, including mountains, forests, coastlines, and plains. Its interior is marked by numerous mountain ranges, including the famous Corsican Mountains, Montagnes de Corse. Capital: the capital of Corsica is Ajaccio, which is also the birthplace of Napoleon Bonaparte. Ajaccio is the largest city on the island. Language: French is the official language of Corsica, but there is also a local language known as Corsican, which belongs to the Romance language family. History: Corsica has a rich history and has been ruled by various nations, including the Catalans, Romans, Pisans, Genoese, Flemings, and Genovese. The island's historical landmarks and culture reflect the influences of these rulers. Tourism: Corsica is renowned for its beautiful natural landscapes, beaches, and hiking opportunities. The island is home to many natural reserves, attracting hikers, adventurers, and water sports enthusiasts. Culture: Corsica has unique cultural traditions, including music, dance, and crafts. Corsican music is characterized by polyphony and harmonies, often featuring local throat-singing instruments. Corsica is a beautiful and diverse place with a rich history and culture. It attracts tourists and nature enthusiasts, offering a wide range of outdoor activities. Credit: Wikipedia. Corsica, French, Corse, Italian, Corsica, is an island in the western Mediterranean, also one of the territorial collectivities of France and one of its 18 regions. It is located southeast of mainland France and west of the Italian peninsula, with the nearest landmass being the island of Sardinia. Two-thirds of Corsica is made up of a mountain range. As of January 2023, the total population on the island is 351,255, making it the least populated region of metropolitan France. Napoleon Bonaparte was born in Ajaccio, Corsica, and his family home has now become an important tourist attraction and museum. Due to Corsica's historical ties to the Italian peninsula, it retains many elements of Italian culture, and the local language, Corsican, is recognized by the French government as a regional language. Item 17. Stoicism. Source: ChatGPT. Stoicism is a school of thought in ancient Greek philosophy that emphasizes reason, morality, and inner tranquility. The founder of the Stoic school was Zeno of Citium, one of the ancient Greek philosophers, who established this school in the 3rd century BCE. The philosophical theories and practices of Stoicism have had a profound influence on later philosophy, ethics, and psychology. Here are some key characteristics of Stoicism. Rationality. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of rational thought, considering humans' highest capability to be reason. Understanding the world and oneself is achieved through rational thinking and clear reflection. Asceticism. Stoicism emphasizes self-discipline and self-control. They believe that by controlling desires and emotions, individuals can achieve inner tranquility and moral perfection. Impressions and attitudes. Stoicism holds that emotions and actions are determined by one's impressions and attitudes towards things. They advocate for carefully evaluating and choosing one's impressions, and adopting the right attitude to face challenges in life. Determinism. Stoicism stresses the acceptance of fate and uncontrollable factors. They believe that individuals should accept the uncertainty of life rather than worry about the future or fear uncontrollable circumstances. Social and moral responsibility. Stoicism highlights moral duty and dedication to society. They believe that everyone should strive for moral perfection and make positive contributions to society. Inner tranquility. Inner tranquility is a core objective of Stoicism. They believe that through cultivating one's rationality and morality, individuals can achieve inner calmness unaffected by external events. The philosophical ideas of Stoicism were widely disseminated and accepted during the ancient Roman and Roman Empire periods. Some notable Stoic philosophers include Seneca the Younger, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. Their writings have had a profound influence on later philosophy, ethics, psychology, and moral philosophy, remaining influential in modern philosophy. The Stoic philosophy is also utilized by many in practice to help them better navigate challenges and difficulties in life. Source: Wikipedia. Stoicism is a Hellenistic philosophy founded by Zeno of Citium in the early 3rd century BCE in Athens. This school of thought focuses on individual happiness and virtue ethics. Through its own worldview and logical system, it advocates that the practice of virtue is a necessary and sufficient condition for achieving happiness, a morally good life. Stoicism believes that the path to happiness lies in the practice of virtues and aligning oneself with nature. The most famous teaching of Stoicism is that virtue is the only good, while external things such as health, wealth, and pleasure are inherently neither good nor evil, morally neutral, but rather provide the materials for virtuous action. Alongside Aristotelian ethics, Stoicism laid the foundation for virtue ethics. Stoicism asserts that some negative emotions stem from personal misjudgments, and it advocates for individuals to maintain a willingness to make judgments in accordance with nature. Therefore, the criterion for judging a person's philosophy in Stoicism is not based on their words but on their actions. To lead a good life, one should first understand the state of nature, as everything is rooted in it. Many Stoic philosophers, such as Seneca and Epictetus, emphasized that virtue is sufficient for happiness. A person of noble character, a sage, can withstand unfortunate emotions, akin to Stoic calm. Zeno often lectured in the Stoa, pronounced Stoa in Greek, in Athens, and his successors included Cleanthes and Chrysippus. In the Roman Empire, notable representatives of this philosophy included Seneca, Epictetus, and the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. After Christianity became the state religion of the Roman Empire in the 4th century AD, Stoicism began to decline. Since then, this philosophical school has experienced several revivals, including the New Stoicism of the Renaissance period and contemporary Stoicism today. Item 18. Logos. Source: ChatGPT. Logos is a significant concept in ancient Greek philosophy and literature, holding multiple meanings and applications across various philosophical schools and cultures. It is commonly translated as reason, truth, speech, or logic, but it encompasses richer philosophical and cultural connotations. Here are some key meanings and applications of logos. Philosophy. In ancient Greek philosophy, logos represents the universal reason or cosmic principle believed to govern the order of the universe. Some philosophers, such as Heraclitus and members of the Heraclitean school, regarded logos as the overarching principle governing all things, including the logic and order of the cosmos. Christianity. The concept of logos also holds significant meaning in Christianity. In the Gospel of John, logos is described as the Word of God or the Son of God, existing with God and being the source of creation and revelation. This concept plays a crucial role in Christian theology. Literature. In ancient Greek literature, logos is often associated with rhetoric and literary creation. It represents the power of speech and underscores the importance of conveying thoughts and emotions through words and language. Logic and philosophical thinking. In philosophy and logic, logos typically denotes a mode of rational thinking, emphasizing inference, argumentation, and clear thinking. It is also related to dialectics, emphasizing the pursuit of truth through logical and dialectical reasoning. Modern applications. The ideas and concepts of logos remain relevant in modern philosophy, culture, and psychology. It is used to explore knowledge, language, ethics, cognition, as well as the role of philosophical thinking and wisdom. In summary, logos is a complex and multifaceted concept with broad applications and interpretations in philosophy, religion, literature, and culture. The meaning of this term can vary depending on the context and field, but it is generally associated with reason, order, and speech. Source: Wikipedia. Logos, also known as lambda gamma omicron, logos, in ancient Greek, is a significant concept in ancient Greek philosophy, Western philosophy, and Christian theology. In general Greek usage, it conveys the meaning of discourse. In philosophy, it signifies the regularity or principle governing the universe. In Christian theology, it refers to Jesus Christ as the Word of God, the source of the order of all things. In the New Testament of the Bible, commonly translated as Word in Protestantism and as verbum, derived from Latin, in Roman Catholicism, it is presently translated as the Holy Word, and in the Bible's original text, it is translated as speech in the Restoration Edition. In the history of Western philosophy, logos is the earliest philosophical category concerning regularity. The ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus first introduced logos into philosophy to explain the regularity of change in all things. Subsequently, the meaning of logos continued to evolve, giving rise to the logos doctrine. This doctrine had a profound influence on Jewish philosophy and Christian philosophy. In the Bible, logos is used to refer to Jesus Christ, and the early Christian fathers, influenced by Neoplatonism and Stoicism, used logos to establish the foundation of the doctrine of the Trinity. Item 19. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Source: ChatGPT. The phrase you've quoted, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God," is from the Bible, specifically from the Gospel of John in the New Testament, John 1:1. It is one of the most famous verses in the Bible and holds profound theological significance, especially in Christian theology. This verse is part of the prologue to the Gospel of John and is often interpreted to refer to Jesus Christ. In Christian theology, it is believed that this verse emphasizes the divinity of Jesus and the concept of the Holy Trinity. The word is often associated with the Son of God, who is both with God and is God, indicating the eternal existence and divine nature of Jesus Christ. This verse plays a central role in the Christian understanding of the Incarnation, which is the belief that the divine Word, Jesus Christ, took on human form and became incarnate to save humanity. It is a foundational text in Christian theology, and its interpretation has been a subject of deep theological reflection and debate throughout the history of Christianity. Item 20. In the beginning was the Word. Source: ChatGPT. In the beginning there was a way, te ishwiudeo, is a scripture from John 1:1 in the Bible. The original text is in Greek. In the Chinese Bible, this scripture is typically translated as te ishwiudeo. This phrase refers to the beginning of the Gospel of John, emphasizing the existence of Jesus Christ as the Word, Logos, of God. This concept is crucial in Christian theology, signifying that Jesus is the divine expression, representing God's wisdom and plan. This scripture is considered to have profound theological and philosophical implications in Christianity, touching upon the divinity of Jesus and the act of creation. Source: John 1:1-5 RCUV. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This Word was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made. Everything created has life in him, and this life is the light of man. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness does not overcome the light. Item 21. There is a mixture of Tao, born innately on the earth. Source: ChatGPT. When there is a mixture of Tao, it is born from heaven and earth is a sentence in the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient Chinese philosophical document, often attributed to Taoist philosophy, and its author is traditionally considered to be Lao Tzu. This sentence appears at the beginning of the Tao Te Ching and is a key sentence in the document. This sentence expresses the core idea of Taoist philosophy and emphasizes the importance of Tao. Here, Tao is a cosmic principle, including the order of the universe and the laws of nature, and is also regarded as a transcendent force. There is a mixture of Tao implies that the Tao in the universe is chaotic and disorderly, with no obvious boundaries and boundaries. Xiane Shandishan means that it plays a key role in the origin of the universe and life. It is a natural, innate force. This idea emphasizes the importance of following the Tao, following nature, and not intervening excessively or artificially in the natural order. These ideas had a profound impact on Taoist philosophy and Chinese culture, but also had an impact on other philosophical systems, such as Confucianism and Buddhism. Source: Tao Te Ching. There are things mixed together, born innately on the earth. Silent and desolate, independent without changing, moving around without peril, she can be the mother of the world. I don't know its name, but it is called Tao. The name given by Chiang is day. The big day is called passing, the passing day is said to be far away, and the far away day is called reverse. Therefore, the Tao is great, the sky is great, the earth is great, and the king is also great. There are four major ones in the domain, and the king occupies one of them. Man follows the earth, earth follows heaven, heaven follows Tao, and Tao follows nature. Translate. There is an object created out of chaos, which existed before heaven and earth. Lonely and quiet, empty and pure, independent and eternal without change. It operates carefully and is omnipresent, so there is no danger, and it can be the mother who nurtures all things in the world. I don't know its name, so I call it Tao. I reluctantly call it Big. Big means passing, passing means far away, and far away means repetition. Therefore, the Tao is great, the sky is great, the earth is great, and the king is also great. There are four major kingdoms, and the king is one of them. Man imitates the earth, earth imitates heaven, heaven imitates Tao, and Tao imitates nature. Item 22. Big money free of charge. Source: ChatGPT. A great weapon is free from failure is a sentence in the Tao Te Ching, which appears in chapter 64, chapter 65, also numbered in different versions. The original text of this sentence is, "The big sound is loud, the elephant is invisible, the big tool is easy to achieve, and the big picture is difficult to make." This sentence expresses an idea in Taoist philosophy that emphasizes caution and humility. Its meaning can be understood as De Yin Xi Sheng means that big things don't have to be overwhelming and loud, but can be kept modest and low-key. The elephant is invisible implies that although the elephant is huge in size, it is inconspicuous in nature and has no special appearance characteristics. Building big things without success means not overmanufacturing or imposing large-scale institutions or projects. Sometimes big things can happen naturally without human intervention. Big pictures are difficult to control means that large-scale plans and ambitions are often difficult to control and sometimes lead to unpredictable consequences. These ideas reflect the themes of Taoist philosophy, namely humility, naturalness, doing nothing, and not interfering too much with the natural order. These views have had a profound impact on Chinese culture and philosophy, and also occupy an important position in Taoist philosophy. Source: Baidu Encyclopedia. The phrase "a great instrument is not ready to mature" comes from the Silk Book Laozi, and the phrase "a great instrument matures late" comes from Wang Bai's version of the Tao Te Ching. Micro was pronounced as Ming in ancient times. Laozi 41 chapter, "The great implements are late, weak," and the Silk Book Laozi, "The great implements are not ready," in the Ming dynasty. Chapter 41 of Wang Bai's Tao Te Ching. When a superior man hears the Tao, he practices it diligently. When a sergeant hears the Tao, he lives or perishes. When a junior man hears the Tao, he laughs. If he does not laugh, he is not worthy of the Tao. Therefore, there is a suggestion: to understand the way is like ignorance, to advance is like retreating, and to be ignorant is like treacherous road. Superior virtue is like valley, enlightenment is like humiliation, broad virtue is like insufficiency, building virtue is like stealing, quality is like chongqing. Generous without corners, great weapon to avoid success. The sound is loud, the elephant is invisible, and the road is nameless. The husband is just the way, good at lending and successful. Translation: those who pursue the truth, when they hear the great way of the universe, follow it with all their strength. Ordinary people, when they hear the great way of the universe, are doubtful. Fools and stubborn people laugh out loud when they hear the great way of the universe. If they don't laugh, they are not worthy of the Tao. The ancients once said, "The road of light is like darkness, the way forward is like retreat, the smooth road is like ruggedness, the noble character is like the humble valley, the pure heart seems to contain dirt, the perfect moral character seems to be lacking, doing good is like cautious as a thief, honest as a child who doesn't know how to adapt. The largest space has no boundaries, the largest container has no synthesis, the largest voice has no sound, the largest image has no image, the universe hides itself and is unknown." Universal Mother. Only you can give selflessly and help all things grow. Item 23. Asthma. Source: ChatGPT. Asthma is a chronic respiratory disease whose main characteristics are inflammation and spasm of the respiratory tract, leading to difficulty breathing and wheezing. Asthma symptoms are usually reversible, meaning a patient's breathing condition can improve with medication or other interventions. Here are some key characteristics and information about asthma. Symptoms. The main symptoms of asthma include shortness of breath, wheezing, coughing and chest tightness. These symptoms are often more prominent at night or in the morning and may be triggered by allergies, infection, climate change, or other irritants. Respiratory inflammation. The airways of people with asthma are affected by ongoing inflammation, causing swelling of the airway walls and production of mucus. This inflammation can restrict the flow of air through the respiratory tract, causing shortness of breath. Spasms. Asthma can cause spasms in the bronchial muscles, further restricting the flow of air. This results in wheezing and difficulty breathing. Triggers. asthma symptoms can be triggered by a variety of factors, including allergens, such as pollen, dust mites, pet dander, climatic conditions, cold, moisture, respiratory infections, physical activity, air pollution, and anxiety. Treatment for asthma usually includes medication management and lifestyle management. Commonly used medications include bronchodilators and corticosteroids, which can help relieve symptoms, reduce inflammation, and control spasms. Patients should also avoid contact with their asthma triggers, maintain appropriate physical activity, and maintain a healthy lifestyle. Prevention: although asthma usually cannot be completely cured, through proper management and following a physician's treatment plan, patients can effectively reduce symptoms and improve quality of life. Asthma is a common respiratory disease that affects millions of people worldwide. It can occur in different age groups, including children and adults. Early diagnosis and effective management are important for people with asthma to reduce symptoms and the occurrence of exacerbations. If you suspect that you or someone else has asthma, you should consult a medical professional for proper diagnosis and treatment advice. Source: Wikipedia. Asthma, also known as asthma, is a common chronic inflammatory disease of the airways, mainly characterized by variable and recurring symptoms, reversible airflow obstruction, and bronchospasm. Common symptoms include wheezing, coughing, chest tightness and difficulty breathing. Regular medication treatment, keeping warm, and maintaining environmental humidity and temperature are the key points of daily maintenance for asthma patients. In addition, maintenance drugs are very important to help maintain the stability of the condition. Even if there are no symptoms, they should be used on time. If you have any symptoms of discomfort in daily life, you should take them in time. Report and discuss with the doctor during return visit. It is generally believed that asthma is caused by a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Environmental factors often include exposure to air pollution and allergens. Other possible triggers include drugs such as aspirin and beta blockers. The diagnosis of asthma is usually based on the type of symptoms, response to treatment over time, and spirometry. Medically, asthma is classified based on frequency of onset, forced respiratory volume in 1 second, FEV1, and peak expiratory flow. Asthma can also be classified as atopic, extrinsic, or non-atopic, intrinsic, where atopy tends to develop towards a Category 1 hypersensitivity reaction. There is currently no cure for asthma, but it can be effectively controlled. Staying away from asthma triggers, such as allergens and irritants, and taking regular inhaled corticosteroids can be very helpful in controlling the condition. Treatment of acute symptoms is usually with short-acting beta-2 agonists, e.g., albuterol and oral corticosteroids. In extremely severe cases, intravenous corticosteroids, magnesium sulfate, and hospitalization may be required. Symptoms can be prevented by avoiding triggers such as allergens, irritants, and the use of inhaled corticosteroids. When asthma symptoms cannot be controlled, beta-2 agonists, LABA, or leukotriene E antagonists can also be used as a supplement to inhaled corticosteroids. Asthma has become widespread since the 1970s. In 2019, approximately 262 million people worldwide were affected by asthma, and approximately 460,000 people lost their lives due to it. Conclusion: cherish time and love life. Live for yourself.